What gross thing do most people do but won't admit? Story 1. I don't understand how people don't pick their noses. Like they're dry and spiky and no amount of blowing into a kerchief will dislodge them. Reply 1. I'm a picker, but a private picker. It's one of those things that we're pretty sure everyone is also doing, but I don't want to watch or be watched. Related, those neti pot things are really handy in the dead of winter when the humidity inside gets so low. Takes 1 or 2 tries to get the hang of it, but then gets surprisingly easy and satisfying. Distilled water warmed up to just around body temp feels really good. Reply 2. Yep. I think people that don't pick their noses are just lying at this point. I'm 45. If I'm stuffed up, I'll dig in. What's better is the good old-fashioned snot rocket. Plug one side and blow hard out of your nose. So much gross come out, but you'll breathe better for hours. Sorry. Too old to be embarrassed anymore. Reply 3. I've always been a picker, but ever since I got my nostrils pierced, it's actually gotten worse. Now I use tweezers, which means precision. I can easily grab any booger from anywhere in my nose. So now when I feel anything in there at all, I am compelled to get it out. It's bad because now it's winter and my nose is dry and sometimes I scrape around too much, and then logically I know that what I'm feeling is actually inflamed sinuses and not boogers, but does my heart know that? No. Reply 4. When I was a kid, I was taught that it's acceptable to put your finger in your nose to clean it so long as you had a tissue over it. And that's what I follow as an adult now. Whenever I blow my nose, I'll use the tissue either bunched up or to cover my finger so I can get any built-up mucus out of my nose. And I don't really see anything wrong with that. My nose is cleared. I'm not being wasteful of tissues. I'm not just going in with my bare hands. And either way, I wash and sanitize my hands whenever I blow my nose anyways. I don't see why more people don't use facial tissues as the sanitary tools they're designed to be and get the most use out of them. Story 2. I will 100% admit to it. I don't do it in front of people because I know it's gross to look at. But when I'm alone, I'll go elbow deep and love every second. Reply 1. I'm still traumatized by my P1, basically kindergarten teacher in Scotland, catching this little boy picking his nose in class and making him stand in front of a mirror at the front of the room for 10 minutes with his finger up his nose. I don't even remember his reaction, but I was so upset and embarrassed for him. Same teacher who told me, the brand new American girl, off on the first day of school for calling her teacher. My name is blah blah blah, not teacher. Like, damn bitch, I'm 4. Why are you even teaching small children if you're this hateful? But anyway, yeah, I've never let anyone see me pick my nose and never will. Besides, I feel like the toilet is the best spot anyway. You wipe them on toilet paper, flush it, then the sink is right there to wash your hands. Also, it's not a coincidence that everyone's nostrils happen to be the same size as the tip of their index finger. Story 3. I would venture to say most people don't wash their sheets as often as they claim to. Reply 1. Love the discussions on Reddit about bed making, with kids presumably angry about being asked to make their bed, arguing that there is no point in making their bed. I can absolutely see someone on one hand arguing that making beds has no benefit while simultaneously not washing their sweaty, manly stained sheets for months. Reply 2. I'm very guilty of this. I have to pay to wash my clothes, of course I'm going to skimp. If it doesn't have an odor or visible stains or mess, I leave them on for 3 months. I know it's awful, but doing laundry on something so frequently that doesn't need it doesn't make sense when you pay $3 every time. That's maybe half an egg worth of money. Reply 3. Yep, every 3 months too. I live in a dorm, so not only I pay like a third of the hourly minimum wage in my country to do the laundry, there are also just 2 washing machines in the whole dorm. So I need to have like a whole day off to be able to get in the line in the right time. If I had my own washing machine, I think I would go twice a month. Story 4. The number of times I've seen people not washing their hands in the restrooms at work. From blue collar to upper management, it's one big reason I hate shaking hands. Reply 1. Here's a gross story for you related to this. I work delivering in a mall. And you know those sketchy little kiosks with even shadier looking dudes that sell cheap lotions? I've witnessed 2 of them use the bathroom stall, even not just the urinal, and walk out without washing their hands. 0.10 minutes later, I saw them applying cream to a woman's face using bare hands. That being said to anyone reading this, don't fall for those shady dudes in the lotion booth because they didn't wash their hands. Reply 2. I'm a mobile technician that does a lot of work at gas stations, and the number of grown-ass men that don't wash their hands or lift the goddamn seat is truly mind-boggling. Did you learn nothing as a child? And like you said, it's all walks of life, but I feel like a large portion of them are more on the upper class side of things. Like, how are you going to act like a 6-year-old in the bathroom, then go get in your $100,000 Genesis and bitch about nobody wanting to work while you drive, badly like a self-important ignorant asshole, to tea time with your retirement buddies and not have the tiniest bit of self-reflection, but at least I'm not bitter? Reply 3. Story time. I worked a retail job where it was so busy on Saturdays that the owner bought us lunch in exchange for shorter meal breaks. One day, I'm in the break room gulping down my food and I hear the toilet flush in the bathroom, not far from where I was eating. Then a coworker walks out without running any water in the sink. The gross part is after exiting the bathroom, he stopped and grabbed a huge handful of chips from the communal chip bowl we'd left out. Lunch was subs and a huge bag of chips to share in a bowl. Story 5. Not washing their hands after a washroom break? I've seen grown adults not do it. A lot of them. Simply revolting. Reply 1. I'll never forget during the early days of the pandemic, having a Zoom call with my mom and 4 brothers. We were discussing how surreal everything was, and my middle brother, a fully grown man with children at this point, mind you, chimed in with, "Yeah, and now I have to wash my hands? What?" Needless to say, he doesn't get to touch anything at family gatherings anymore. Reply 2. My husband and I took in an asylum seeker who is 39 years old. He doesn't use tissues. We can sometimes hear him blowing his nose into the bathroom sink. He will often snuff up his snot or use his fingers to wipe whatever the hell is coming out and then touch stuff. I don't use anything in my house anymore without washing it first. It's freaking gross. We've been polite, stern, and yelled at him, but he still does it. Reply 3. Ugh. At my job occasionally, the substitute custodian refills the soap with hand sanitizer. So I have to leave the restroom, go to my bag where I keep soap for this very reason because it happens far too often, and then wash my hands properly. This whole thing usually involves multiple trips up and down several flights of stairs, and I work with a lot of people that simply can't do it. There's a lot of people walking around with dirty freaking bathroom hands. Reply 4. We have to wear scrubs and wash our hands once we get on the floor at my job. There also happens to be a bathroom in the locker room, the only bathroom that's not its own room in the entire building. When I get to work in the morning, there's always a guy in there taking a crap, who then doesn't wash his hands until he gets to the production floor sink. He goes through about 3 doors with his crap fingers. He works in quality assurance. Reply 5. I have this fear that one day I'm going to see a person leave the bathroom before me without washing, only to learn it's someone I have an important meeting with. I seriously have no idea how I would react if that happened. Reply 6. I had something kind of like that happen once. I saw a doctor. I assumed he had on a white coat and we were in a medical building, picking his nose like crazy while he was walking down the hall. I mean, like digging in China. It grossed me out, but I was focused on finding an office. I found the office where I had an appointment, and I sat in the waiting room. I was called back. You guessed it. He was the doctor that walked into the exam room. Reply 7. I took my kid to an appointment this week. Before we went into the appointment, I asked him to go to the public bathroom. There's another guy in there using the urinal. After my kid finishes and he's washing his hands, the other guy follows us out without washing his hands. My son starts accosting him for being yucky. He loudly yells, he peed on his hands and didn't wash afterwards. As the guy is walking back to his office, loud enough that his coworkers hear and look up at the culprit. Maybe it's bad that my kid said that, but people need to get called out on that crap. Story 6. Give the bread knife a token wipe with the tea towel and put it back in the drawer after using. Reply 1. We do this thing in New Orleans where you leave the knife in the king cake box so everyone can cut a slice whenever they want. It's kind of unsanitary and has led to many family squabbles over knife in or knife out status. But it is definitely a thing here. That knife stays in the box until the king cake is gone. It's literally covered in days-old icing and crumbs, but it stays and is used on the new slices. Story 7. Diarrhea is way more common than people admit. Reply 1. My family loves to announce their poops. Reply 2. My husband's family has a tradition of talking about their latest bowel movements at dinner. In the 17 years I've been part of this family, there has not been a single meal where poop has not been brought up. It doesn't even matter where the meal is. Poop is an important topic and must be addressed as a family every single day. We've talked about poop at everyone's homes, at restaurants, birthday parties. Nowhere is safe. I kept quiet for so long because I really wanted to see if they'd ever not bring it up without the influence of knowing that I was actively tracking this. I did tell my husband last year, and he didn't believe me at first. He's got his own findings now. Bowel movements are only talked about at dinner. He will spend a solid 12 hours with his brothers. They will all have had poop breaks during that time, but no one talks about it until they're at the table with a plate of food in front of them. Story 8. There are two types of people in the world: those who pee in the shower and liars. Reply 1. Am I one of the only ones who doesn't? I find it disgusting for some reason, and I don't even know why. I think it's because it's not technically somewhere where you're meant to pee, even if there is water and pipes to clean it up. Reply 2. Thank you. I see this constantly and I can't even fathom it. Like, I do plenty of gross crap that's on par with this, but this specific act, I can't imagine doing. Not for any hygiene reasons, but because it gives me the same ick as putting on a damp sock. Maybe because I used to wet the bed as a kid, so the thought of peeing anywhere but in the toilet is like, wrong feeling. Reply 3. I couldn't pee in the shower because the water on me kept me from relaxing enough to pee. It felt really weird. I can now, and for real, I'll pee in the shower from the outside if I'm about to take a shower because my clothes are on the toilet seat and I don't want to move them to pee. The toilet drain and tub drain are the same except for about 6 feet of it. Reply 4. I was hanging out with friends and among them was a married couple and this subject came up. My buddy says to his wife, "See, I told you everyone does it," to which she says, "They mean while showering, you sick man." Yay, apparently he walks into the bathroom, ignores the perfectly good toilet, and just lets it rip into the shower and lets it mellow in there. Story 9. Being impressed by how foul your fart smells. Reply 1. This made me laugh so hard. My daughter was on the school bus in middle school and let out what she refers to as the fart of a lifetime. The whole bus was in agony and she didn't own up to it, but she was so proud. I can only imagine the evil grin on her face. She kept trying to recreate it, but it never happened. Reply 2 reminds me of one of my shameful but proud moments. I went out drinking on a work night and ended up getting absolutely trashed as I wasn't driving. After the bar, we ended up going to Jack in the Box where I ordered the Bacon Ultimate Cheeseburger that I put hot sauce on, with a side of curly fries dipped into their buttermilk sauce. Unfortunately, it was a work night, and I rolled out of bed at the last possible minute to be at work on time, but because I was in a rush, I didn't have time to drop my morning glory on my home throne. On my way to work, I picked up some heavily caffeinated Starbucks. This horrendous cocktail of alcohol, greasy foods, hot sauce, dairy, and caffeine gestated in my bowels and demanded to be released as I pulled into work. Now, at the time, I worked at a factory that had 3 shifts. The night shift would shuffle out of the same narrow corridor that the day shift came in on. In this corridor were the bathrooms. There were multiple stalls in each, and I was lucky to find an open one as the abomination demanded out of my body. As I sat there and unleashed my sins, I could hear everyone else in the bathroom slowly become aware of what was happening. Fortunately, shift change time was the busiest time for the bathrooms, so no single stall could be identified as the source of Nurgle's rot. I came out of the stall trying not to laugh at the crime against humanity I had unleashed as everyone else started cursing and quickly making their exit. As I finished washing my hands and exited, I noticed people making a wide berth around the bathroom door as more comments filled the air about what the hell just happened and who was responsible for terrorizing the shared bathroom. Reply 3. When I was married, I was in the car during summer where you could have the windows rolled down without the air conditioning on. Was in the back seat with my now ex, and the driver was her mom. I let a fart go, and I knew it would be silent, but then I felt the warmth, and I was thinking, oh God, no. Dude, the smell would have killed the planet. My wife looks at me and asks if I farted, and I was too embarrassed and said no. Her mom said, "Nah, that's probably just raw sewage we drove by." You damn right it was raw sewage from my ass. Story 10. Dip their scrotum in clam chowder, sprinkle it with fish flakes, and dangle it in an aquarium. Reply 1. I didn't know this was something to admit to. I feed my fish this way all the time. When I have company, they don't seem to mind. Sometimes I let others try and feed them. They really get a kick out of the excitement the fish work themselves into. Women tend to have a harder time, but they can get much more out of it since there is more clam in the chowder. Story 11. Not brushing their teeth as often. Reply 1. Yeah, honestly, I struggle with mental health issues, and brushing my teeth can be hard. I've been doing a much better job, but when I was a teen, and when my depression was really bad, it was hard to take care of myself a lot of the time. Reply 2. I'm essentially homeless right now. I can't remember the last time I brushed my teeth with actual toothpaste. It's a luxury we can't afford, and I hate it. I know I have so many cavities, but I know a good dentist will be sympathetic. Reply 3. Last year, I made a resolution to brush my teeth and floss before sleeping. It was hard at first, but I figured it out. I do not, for any reason, change out of my street clothes until I've brushed my teeth. Once I've got on my PJs, I'm hitting the bed, but if I refuse to change before brushing, I have to do it before bed. Furthermore, I put on a YouTube video for flossing. I really do a thorough job, and I've come to enjoy my flossing time just listening to podcasts and cleaning teeth. If you want to get better at this habit, hope this helps. Reply 3. Wait, do you put on a YouTube video for flossing as in a video about flossing? If so, I am interested, lol. I started following some dentist influencers on Instagram and made a resolution to start flossing daily a few years ago. Started tracking with a fun spreadsheet habit tracker, and now I'm about a year and a half without missing a single day. Upgraded to fancy floss too. Just gotta find ways to make things enjoyable or rewarding. Reply 4. I'm dreading the damage my pregnancy and postpartum did to my teeth. During pregnancy, I stopped brushing my teeth because I would violently vomit. I tried everything. Kids' toothpaste and toothbrush, mouthwash, different times. Some days even thinking about it made me vomit. Now during postpartum, I don't have time or energy, or I just forget. Reply 5. I know postpartum is such a hard time, but please make an appointment for a cleaning. A good dentist won't judge any issues, and odds are you'll have to go back for a deep cleaning, but even paying for 10 babysitters for a few hours for a dentist is so much cheaper than paying thousands to undo years of damage. Within the past 6 months, we've paid roughly $35K for my husband to get full upper implants. He was out of work for 3 months due to malnourishment and fully out of commission for the first month-ish of that time. And we haven't even addressed the bottoms. Your dental health is so important for your regular health, and you have a little one you gotta be around for a long time. Story 12. Scratch and sniff the old kitty. In private, of course. Reply 1. I totally believe the hypothesis that humans do scratch and sniff because it's an evolutionary impulse to check for infections or dirtiness. Otherwise, why do we all have this innate urge? It makes sense. Story 13. Deep within the sacred cavern of my right nostril, there exists a singular mythical hair, a rogue strand that defies the natural order. While its brethren remain humble and short, this audacious bastard grows unchecked, reaching absurd lengths of 10, 15 times that of its peers, as if it alone were chosen by the gods of nasal chaos. Its root is embedded so deep within my nose canal that I suspect it extends into another dimension. And when the time comes to yank this resilient monstrosity from its lair, the euphoric satisfaction is nothing short of spiritual, like uprooting a cursed Excalibur from my own flesh. Reply 1. I too have a brain tickler. It can get more than just a couple of inches long, but seems to be made out of 14 gauge wire or something, so thick and sharp you could sew with it. I remember the first time I pulled it out, I'm sure I could feel it in my brain. Story 14. If you think about it too much, making out and stuff, it's actually kind of gross. But when you really like someone or love someone, it gets extremely canceled out and even adds to the intimacy. And it's great. But ultimately, it's kind of gross, lol. Animalistic fluid exchanges through the holes in our bodies. Haha, sorry. There's 8 billion of us, so it's working just fine. Reply 1. I've always had trouble sharing a glass or bottle with someone else. I recently caught myself hesitating to let my partner try something I was drinking when I remembered that we'd done it. We'd kissed, etc. Somehow the latter felt less gross than sharing a glass, but I quickly got over it and gave them my glass. Story 15. Crapping your pants as an adult, whether it was a fart or cough that you shouldn't have trusted or full-blown food poisoning, it's not a matter of if, but when you will crap your pants as an adult. Reply 1. I've heard lately a lot of dudes talking about crapping their pants, and they seem to think it's normal. I'm not saying people go their entire adult life without ever sharding, but I suspect some of these guys either have a medical issue going on or are just plain nasty or too lazy to handle their bowels responsibly. I've sharded exactly twice. Once when extremely sick, and once when on a medication that caused anal leakage. Never full-on crapped my pants, despite having a very irritable stomach. Sure, it happens sometimes, but in any remotely healthy adult, it should be extremely rare. If you guys are crapping your pants half as much as you act like you are, you need to get your crap together. Pun intended. Reply 2. I still remember the time on a family vacation when we were driving back to the house, my brother and cousins sitting in the back of the SUV, all of us laughing about something, and then my brother goes, oh? Yep, it happened. We all started laughing even harder. Reply 3. I had food poisoning this past fall. I was exploding from both ends, sometimes both at once. The amount of times that I had to sprint from my white couch to the bathroom probably added up to the distance of a marathon. Just sitting there, and all of a sudden, this is going to happen now, whether you like it or not. I was also in the middle of the third round of COVID when this happened. It was miserable. Reply 4. That feeling when you're standing at your door, struggling to unlock it, but the key just keeps slipping and the pressure back there is starting to focus. It's narrowing and sharpening and intensifying. And then, just as the door opens, you're dropping literally everything on the floor, reaching for your pants button, running for the bathroom, moaning at the dog, get out of the way, and you're almost there, so close, almost there. And you feel it, just a little slip, and you know it's too late. Reply 5. I have irritable syndrome, and I don't know all of my triggers. So far, it's chocolate, avocados, and whatever they put in IHOP pancakes. But I got explosive diarrhea and crap my pants after eating those items. It smells like something died, too. When I go out to eat, I wear an adult diaper and bring flushable cooling wipes and an extra diaper. It's awful. I had horrible diarrhea when I had rotavirus last year, too. Adult diapers are a freaking lifesaver. Story 16. Wipe our butts, then buckle our belts, then rarely, if ever, clean our belts. Yes, we wash our hands afterward, but how often do people wash their hands after taking off their belts at the end of the day? I do, but I don't think many others do. Reply 1. Cell phones, too. Can you imagine the amount of nasty particles chilling on the surfaces of our phones? I remember shadowing in a hospital one summer for a high school program. Years ago, I got accepted in, and in our orientation, the lady conducting it told us to not touch our phones as much as possible during our rotations because they harbor so much bacteria on them. I wiped my cell phone down so much during those 2 weeks out of a new paranoia created in me.
Thanks for watching until the end. If you have a similar story to these that you want to share with us, please leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave us a like and subscribe. For more videos like this one right now, please stop by our channel. Thanks again, and see you next time.